Hi folks, and welcome to this recording on your group assignment. I know that some of you have perhaps been having some challenges in knowing exactly what the requirement is and how to approach it. So I took the advice of one of our students and I decided that it might be a good idea just to do a short video. So hopefully this will help you out. So let me just tell you how I decided to divide it. I haven't had much feedback from students yet, so this is just a preliminary cut at what your issues might be. So I thought maybe I should give you an idea of what you need to consider when you're developing your templates. You have 3 templates to develop, one for each job family. There's also been some discussion on how to communicate within the groups and how to find your group. So I thought maybe I would do a little review of how you should do that. There's also been some discussions. Groups are now talking about how to divide up the work. So maybe I'll review that and give you some ideas and thoughts on what you might be able to do there. I also wanted to show you a sample project. When I teach this course, I do this project and the students do it individually in the classroom. And I thought I would take one of their projects and show you what it would look like, because I think some students might have a tendency to go off on a different tangent because of all of the analytical data in the case, and that's not really where I want you focusing. All right, and then I'm going to go through how you submit the assignment to your Dropbox and Avenue to Learn. So hopefully we've hit most of the things that might be issues for you. So let's go through. First of all, let's look at the requirement. You're supposed to develop 3 templates for each of the following job families: production workers, admin staff, and technical staff, and explain your decisions. Now, I've told you a maximum of 8 pages, but most students are able to do it within 5 or 6. I just didn't want to limit you in terms of, your line spacing and whatever else, and, I didn't want students getting all concerned about not having enough room or being able to fit it into a less confining number of pages, so I suggested 8 as a maximum, but most students do it within 5 or 6. When you're developing your templates, some of the things I want you to consider are: the compensation system must align with high involvement management, because that's where the company wants to go. They want to invoke a high involvement sort of strategy. So you should be trying to align the job family templates with that in mind. Goals for the new compensation strategy. So they told you in the short case, some of the goals that they might be looking for the system to produce for them. So what you should consider is any current issues or problems that each of the 3 job families are experiencing that you think the compensation strategy that you're developing can address. So you might want to consider things like: are there turnover issues with any of the groups? Are there retention issues? What are the behaviors that are needed? Do you need more citizenship, membership, task behavior? And again, don't worry too much about the financial goals of the overall compensation system. And don't get bogged down with the data, the numeric data, profit margins, all that stuff. You don't really have any control over that because you're only developing a template for 3 job families. You don't know what all the other jobs are in the company. So I wouldn't get too concerned with the financial analysis and using all of that hardcore data, because you're really only looking at 3 job families. Are there any compensation elements that you think all 3 groups should have, and how should they be, or maybe they should be different? So for example, one of the elements we said is that you have to look at in the template is profit sharing. Should they all have profit sharing? Should only one group have profit sharing? What should profit sharing look like? Should it be group profit sharing, individual profit sharing? What would look best? Maybe not all job families are the same. So you want to think about what should be the same and what should be different. The next thing I talk about here is how should the compensation system vary among all 3 families? So should we have base pay determined more by job evaluation, market pricing, or pay for knowledge? Might that be the same? Do you believe that for all 3 job families we should use job evaluation? right? Maybe you don't. Maybe some of them you think they should be market priced. Maybe you're split for base pay among job evaluation, market pricing, and pay for knowledge might be even in one job family, and maybe in the other job family it might be only job evaluation. You might decide for the administrative people, well, you know what, maybe you want to just use job evaluation and market pricing and no pay for knowledge. That's up to your group to decide what you want to do. And again, don't forget, should the strategy for each job family lead the market, lag the market, or match the market? And here's a little hint. Is there any compelling reason that you would have if you want any of them to lead the market? Is there any compelling argument that you can make for leading the market? And again, as I said, I don't want you to get bogged down with the data. Okay, there is a lot of data in the case, but I don't really want you focusing there so much. I think you can do a really great job without your focus being the data. Just getting a feel for how the compensation systems might differ depending on the current issues and problems within each job family, organizationally, and what you think might work best. All right. Now, communicating with group members. I would suggest that you stay within the Avenue to Learn system. Don't forget, part of your mark is given for discussion, okay? So if you go into your small group project area, okay, it's going to describe the collaboration requirement and how we're assessing it, what we're looking for there. So if you start to communicate through Skype, Google Docs, we may miss that. I want to see a little bit of document sharing going on so that I can make sure that the people in the group all did their part or did a part of it, right? If you're going to start document sharing somewhere else, I can't see that, I can't assess it. Some groups have already asked about peer review, peer assessment if somebody doesn't pull their weight. We thought about that before we launched the project and before we created this environment. So that's why we required that you guys stay within the environment at least to meet the minimum requirements of the collaboration requirement. All right. Dividing up the work. Again, that's really up to you guys to decide how you want to divide up the work. I don't want to interfere in your group process. But what I would suggest, and some of you are thinking about doing it already, and if you haven't started the project, that's fine. You might want to have each member focus on a job family and complete a few paragraphs on why they might have selected the template or put together the template they did for that particular job family. So the template and the rationale. One person does it for one job family, one person does those two things for another job family, and the third member does it for another job family. Again, I encourage you to share your work so that somebody makes sure that the project hangs together, right? So you should have somebody proofreading and making sure that when it all goes into one document, that it all kind of hangs together and makes sense. Okay, now let's look at a sample assignment. And this is one that was done by a student in my in-class. And I didn't exactly like the way she spaced it. It doesn't really look that great. It's a little too crunched. But the idea was here. Starting with, for this particular job family, which I'll name X, she started with the current challenges with the present compensation package as she saw them based on what she saw in the case. She also made recommendations as to what we could do in the area of base pay, performance pay, and indirect pay to move that group to high involvement. All right. She did the same thing for job family Y. She looked at what the current challenges were with the present compensation system for that particular job family and made recommendations toward high involvement regarding base pay, performance pay, and indirect pay. She also told us right up front if she was going to match, lead, or lag the market. So, and she explains all of her decisions and why she chose it, right? And again, she did that for the third job family. So that was her basically 2 pages. She did it in 2 pages. And then she actually did an Excel spreadsheet, which I didn't want them to do, but I would prefer you guys did a Word document, but because I want you to submit one document. Now, you might decide to do your templates in Excel and then copy and paste them into Word, but I only want to look at one document, all right? But 2 pages, that's all you need, and there's not any data in here, right? There's no highfalutin math in here, net profit margins, any of that stuff in here. We don't need that. Okay, we just want a justification for a 50,000 foot level plan. That's what you're doing. What she also submitted is for each job family. Okay, now I blanked them out, but she did the template. She did it in Excel. I don't want it in Excel, but this is what she did. So 100% is the total compensation. She decided that for this particular job family, which shall remain unknown, she was going to allocate 50% to base pay, 30% to performance pay, and 20% to indirect pay. And I would suggest that's the way you start it. Those are the three main areas: base, performance, and indirect pay. Within that 50%, how much is going to make up base pay? She decided partly job evaluation, no market pricing, pay for knowledge. That's okay. What she wrote in the previous 2 pages we saw for that job family better support that, right? That's all we're trying to do. Now, she also decided she wanted to use performance pay. She decided she was going to use an individual performance pay, merit bonus. She also wanted to incorporate group performance pay for her job family, which again, we don't know, right? And for organization performance, she decided she was going to use other, and she described that somewhere in her discussion. Now, for indirect pay, she decided that's going to be 20%. How she was going to split it up? She decided that she would split up her indirect pay 8% to mandatory benefits like CPP, for example, health and life insurance, paid time off, and other benefits. She decided to include tuition reimbursement. That may or may not be appropriate, but that's an example. But you have to make sure that the sub-elements that you select add up to the total for that area. So if you said base pay is 50%, then in this case she has 2 elements that add up to that. That's fine. Performance is 30%. So all the elements within the performance pay should add up to that. You might decide for one of the job families or all of them, you just want individual performance pay or all group. It's up to you. But then if it's going to be 30%, I want to know how that 30% is going to split up if you think it should all be group performance pay. Okay? So hopefully that makes a little more sense to you going through that. Okay? And submitting to the Dropbox. Let me go into your course. Hi folks, welcome to this short segment on how to submit your assignment. You'll notice at the top of the screen here there is something that says assessments. If you click the down arrow, you'll see a reference to assignments. If you click that link, you'll be brought to this screen. Now you'll see here on the screen I have access to all the different groups in your course. Your particular group, depending on the group you're assigned to, will have your group. So let's assume I'm submitting for group 1. If I click group 1, just add a file, go to my computer, and click Upload. Find the file that you wish to submit, click Open, and then click Add. If you have any comments that you'd like to add to me, please feel free to do so, and then click Submit. You'll get a confirmation email here, or confirmation status that says your email has been sent, or a confirmation email has been sent successfully. And that should show up in your email within about 2 to 3 minutes. Don't forget to click Done so that it gets submitted fully. Notice here that you will see after you've clicked that Done button that in the submissions column of your group assignment area, group assignment Dropbox area or submission area, you'll see a 1. If you click that one, you'll see that that is exactly the file that you submitted for me to grade, so you can always track whether or not I have it. You'll notice now at the very top of the screen, hopefully you can see it, but there is a little red dot in my email box. That means that the confirmation email that we saw earlier, they said was sent, is now showing up in my email. So if I go to my email, you'll see here, it says no reply at cll.mcmaster.ca. That's a submission receipt. So here I can see that my assignment was submitted. So this concludes our short video on how to submit assignments.